Okay, thank you for Wendy. So let's start. And I hope you're in more than a 1 hour chair because this could be a 90-minute webinar. So who will benefit from this presentation? Managers who have previously struggled at promoting financial planning and analysis, enterprise performance management, and integrating business analytics into their decision support systems. Managers who intend to champion any or all enterprise performance management and business analytic improvement techniques, and they need a compelling call to action. And the reason I have champion in quotation marks is because it's just been my experience that although it's nice to have senior executives sponsor new initiatives and innovations, often they are preoccupied with firefighting or short-term priorities, and it's typically managers 1, 2, 3 levels down on the organization chart who kind of have passion or fire in the belly and ask themselves, how long do we want our organization to perpetuate using some of these stale and old methods? And they're the ones that will do a proof of concept or a pilot or a rapid prototyping event, which I'll describe later, to basically demonstrate to their colleagues, line managers, and executives above them that this is the way to go. So if you're 1 or 2, 3, 4 levels down in the org chart, I like presenting to you. Okay, there we go. So I'd like to start all presentations with these 3 questions. What, so what, then what? So imagine that you actually do implement any of these methods that I'm going to be describing with these 7 trends. I say celebrate for 1 day. You are not done. Your organization will see much more information about themselves than they've ever seen before. And some of it will be actually different than their belief system. So that begs the question, so what? What's relevant? But arguably the most important question is, then what? What's going to be the impact of a decision? Decisions only impact the future. And we will talk about what if scenarios and budgeting and the like as we get going. I think this cartoon sets the stage for this entire webinar. Drowning in data, but starving for information. You've got this poor beleaguered clerk in the chair, shoulders hunched, sad, paper all around him, and the supervisor to the left is asking him, looks like you've got all the data. What's the holdup? I gave you the request this morning, how don't you have the answer? And we'll talk about the difference between data and information. Data tends to be transactional. You convert data into information. So this entire presentation is actually based on a 2-part magazine series that I wrote for the Institute of Management Accountants. I'm a member, I'm actually a gypsy on many professional societies, including INFORMS, Institute of Management Science and Operations Research. But I've been a 30-year member for the Institute of Management Accountants. And when I retired from SAS, the CEO there, Jeff Thompson, said, Gary, I heard you're retired, not going to let you sit in a rocking chair down there in Raleigh, North Carolina. We need a role for you. So for 3 years, I served as a volunteer executive in residence was the title they gave me. And I told him, what should I do? He said, I don't know, you write the job description. And I said I would do a couple of articles a year for the magazine. Actually, I've done probably 10 or 15. And this particular webinar is based on that. You could actually download with those links there. And regarding the presentation, I believe that if you would like to get a PDF, you could email me, gcokins@garycokins.com. Or if you go to my website, that's in the bottom left corner, there's a contact me there. So briefly, here are the top 7 trends, and then I'm going to spend the next hour and 15 minutes going through them. First one is going from just product profitability to include channel and customer profitability. Then we'll really talk about, if you will, the strategy map, balance scorecard, KPIs. The third one, we'll talk about the shift to the future view, predictive accounting, not looking through the rear view mirror, last month, last quarter, but what about the future, budgeting, rolling financial forecasts, what if scenarios, that like. Then we'll talk about analytics and how they can be embedded into these methods. Then a little bit of confusion for the accountants, and I'm really enjoying that I'm presenting to IT people. I'm usually having to present to the bean counters, and I'll talk a little bit about them. I'm pretty frustrated with the accounting community. They're in the 1960s, most of them. I get them into the 21st century. I'll talk about some multiple methods. Then the next one you may be interested in is about chargebacks, managing the IT function, with chargebacks, kind of an invoicing system. And then the need to basically accelerate the adoption rate of all these methods. It's agonizingly slow. So again, here is in the agenda. I'm going to start out, though, with kind of describing the various eras of management accounting over time and a stages of maturity model. So let's talk about these 6 eras of management accounting. We start way back, 20,000 BC, cavemen, cavewomen, maybe they used rocks and stone piles to exchange value. Then in 1494, we're talking about the medieval period, there was a monk in Venice, Italy, Luca Pacioli, who actually wrote a book called on the beginning of, if you will, the general ledger, double entry bookkeeping, and that was really the beginning of accounting. Then we move into the late 1800s, the early 1900s, the industrial era. And many of you may be familiar with Frederick Winslow Taylor. He's a real hero for industrial engineers like me, because he kind of produced, scientific methods for, Henry Ford and the manufacturing car plants in Detroit. But you may not know that he had a sidekick, Alexander Hamilton Church. And he created standard cost accounting, which we'll talk about later and some of its issues. Then we move into kind of a dark side of accounting. It was the Depression. What's interesting about the Depression, although it kind of frustrates me, is the accountants were kind of playing games before that about what's called capitalizing or recognizing in the fiscal year expenses. And that's when the SEC, the regulatory agencies, came in with rules. So basically, and that put much more emphasis on the external financial reporting, less on management accounting. This is why I'm hoping we can get the switch back. Then we get to this sort of customer era, paying attention just not on the profitability by products and standard service lines, but also customer profitability. We'll talk about that in the section when I get going. And then we move into that predictive view of, the future. So let's talk about trend number 1 of the 7, the shift from product-centric to customer-centric profitability analysis. Products and standard service lines are not the only thing for which accountants should compute costs for. What about the costs that have nothing to do with making products and delivering standard service lines? The problem with traditional accounting's product gross profit margin reporting is you don't see the bottom half of the picture. And I'm going to make the case why the bottom half, below the gross profit margin line, is more important than the top half. And to validate this, here's a survey of the CEO concerns. And look at the top 2, attracting and retaining loyal customers, increasing market share. So visually what I'm saying is the entire rectangle you see here would be, let's say, the expenses and profits for a month or last.
Hi there, hope you enjoyed that last clip. My name is Michael Maludis, and if you'd like to watch the full 60 minutes of that last webcast, while also gaining complete unlimited access to our entire library of IT learning, simply visit our subscribe page at greatpro.org/subscribe. Unlimited annual access is $199 per year. But if you use the coupon code LEARN2EARN, you can drop that membership fee to just $149. That's less than $13 per month for unlimited access to over 1,000 hours of on-demand career development, covering the entire spectrum of IT management best practices, including business analysis and requirements, software development, quality and testing, risk management, process improvement, project management, and even digital transformation. But your membership doesn't just give you unlimited access to our vast learning library. You also get free access to our mobile app, as well as direct access to our network of over 300 of the world's leading IT consultants, all of whom are dedicated to putting practical knowledge at your fingertips so that you can learn more and earn more. I hope you will join me in becoming a member of the Great IT Professional and advancing your career with us. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button above so that you get notified whenever we publish new free webcasts each week of the year. Thank you for your time and best wishes for your continued success.